In a previous email that was covered in the videos, may or may not have been uploaded to the main playlist, the Rebuke of Barbara Winslow playlist. At this moment in time, it has not been, but this has been covered within I guess you could say, a more private set of videos uploaded for the witness, the present witness. We have now Fallon, and the video is entitled Message to Fallon with some numbers. We covered how my mother on May 9th, that's yesterday as of the time of this recording, today's Friday, May 10th, she wrote to me, or rather really I wrote to her. Everything that's shown here I'll skim through. Well, we remember, as a kind of quick side note that's relevant to what we're about to see, if you see the first two videos up here, these were included, of course, as you see, within the Rebuke of Barbara Winslow playlist. The videos number 44A, 44B, these are parts 1 and 2. The main feature of it was really shown in part 1 of the analysis of Barbara's quote-unquote apology email, as we find and see here. You remember that it was covered here, and we recall when this was done, uploaded back around Christmas time of this past year, 2023. We remember, of course, in summary, one can also easily go and review this more closely, as this was from a few months ago, but we recall that she wrote her apology email. As you can see, it's featured here. You can see it there. Everything that has happened since then, you're about to see how this woman's mind works. We made it clear that the apology, objectively speaking, was insufficient. We made it clear that in life, when you receive an insufficient apology, the only possible, sensible, morally sensible thing to do is to not accept it. It is the same as if it is nothing. Actually, it's worse than nothing, because it's offensive to even try to offer up an apology that you aren't sure is the true showing of a remorseful and repentant heart and a regretful spirit about what you did, that you admit you did it. We recall that she didn't admit anything. We recall that Anthony, at the end, as featured in part 2 of this email, admitted and said that, my natural reaction to witnessing what she wrote is, this is basically BS. I said, yeah, I feel exactly the same way. Did ChatGPT feel the same way? Of course, we recall as we review the later parts. Yes, of course.
It's not big enough. They recently expanded it, but it's still not big enough.
I just randomly clicked any random place. It just happens to show on the screen. Failure to address the core issues. The email does not address the core issues that led to the estrangement, etc., etc. And the most mind-blowing part of this is that where my mom already, technically, as shown in prior email, in prior emails that she sent to me, she said and confirmed that, yes, I have watched all the videos on the playlist. That means, mind-blowingly, she not only watched this key, careful explanation of exactly how it is that she's wrong, what it is that she needs to do, what the correct God code is to move along God programming. When God tells you what to do, are you that stupid? It's clear, it's black and white right there. Whether it's the core laws of form that you read from the Bible itself, or the correct extrapolations of how that law would, in essence, would be applied by those of us, masters and prophet-like level people who can unfold it, unpack it, and repack it and form it to your face. They should know that, and this is what God's substance would be in this situation here. It was how it goes. Don't be dumb. Move it. Not only did she see this, but she's seen everything that's been sent to her email-wise, every communication that's been had with her that's carefully explained in so many detailed, particular ways that if she got to a point right now, in present time, where again it's Friday, May 10th, that she were to write back something and essentially show a complete zero change, zero plasticity, and just basically repeating the same kinds of sentiments over and over again, that were from 6 months ago? Yeah, oh, that would be the worst thing in the world. The most let down, sad fucking thing would be to see this woman continue to act the same way and write the same and defend herself and act in a way where she's defending, justifying, excusing herself, all that instead of agreeing, submitting, confessing, atoning, repenting. See, those are two completely different energetic modes. One of them is being a debtor, one of them is being the creditor. She keeps operating as a debtor because she's not taking responsibility, which is something that only creditors do by a creditor mindset. Unreal. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sick of this, and this is driving me crazy, you fucking selfish pieces of shit. For where we have shown just prior, sent this email to her. What did she write? It's coming up now. And mind you, just to establish context a little bit also, what's about to come from her here that's been sent to me at 9:41 this morning on Friday the 10th of May. We also see that, of course, that this email and this whole email thread, which we recall, which we've covered in other places, that was sent to her 3 days ago already, 72 hours ago, that this was sent to her, where we left the summary of these 6 substantive points. We've covered this in other videos, may or may not be posted yet, but eventually everything gets posted up so that it can be clear what's going on, that anyone in the world, but really most importantly for now at least, any witness can clearly see the objective of what's going on. It's like clear. Yeah, this was unresponded to. So the first offense is that 3 days or more elapsed and she doesn't care to respond to this. She's not showing, I'm going to rush to conform to the correct order of God. No. Remember, women are addicted to inversion mechanisms. Let's see what this woman actually wrote back to me in response to the more recent email. The email is as follows. And firstly, I'm going to just actually read the entire email and narrate it. With that, I'm going to resist the urge to commentate and analyze it as I read. We'll behold the whole thing first in reading so we understand the whole picture. Then at the end of that first email, we're going to just mentally assess, okay, what are we really seeing? Then we'll do a second review going through again, and this time you see. Let's see. Barbara now writes the following. Hi. I was trying very hard to help you for many months. In December 2023, I sent you an apology and an invitation to meet and move forward. My sincere apology was put on YouTube and criticized as not good enough, even if it was very sincere. It was coming from my heart. Since then, I sent you many emails. I was trying to meet, to talk, and to deliver the help to you. All of this was turned down. And again, it was criticized on YouTube, as if she cannot understand why. That this, in essence, you see, is she's complaining about it. She hasn't accepted that she did wrong. I'll offer as a very simple assessment. It's just more of the same. We continue. Basically, she goes on to say, almost every personal email was done this way. One would wonder why. If you haven't realized why by now, the problem is you, not the person that you're putting in this situation who's the victim of your inconsiderate shit, who's being forced to do this out of a need for stability and self-defense to protect himself from the sickness of the sickness of which is being injected here through broken feminine, non-attentive, non-nurturing, non-considerate, just all this shit. She continues, posting all this was very sad and heartbreaking since I meant the best for you. We recall our analysis on intentions and their ability to exonerate the effects. You could be stabbing someone in the face. I meant the best for you. I'm meaning the best for you as you're killing them. See how good I mean as you're killing them. No. That doesn't protect you. But we understand that. We continue. I realized that we need to meet. See, because I realized it, now we have to meet. It doesn't matter what you realize. It doesn't matter that you're trying to teach me anything. Oh, they won't be teachings for me. I just say that I realized, like the stupid idiot. You can't make this shit up. It's not I thought about it. I come to see what you think. No, it's like, I realized it needs to be a meeting. Then it needs to be a meeting because that's what I realized. That's the truth. That's God's truth that she believes, that she realized. So she's the order. She's God's agent, right? No, no, no. I am. I am. Sick. All people reveal how they are through their words. It's so sick to see it. We continue. I realize we need to meet to clarify all the issues and move forward. Of course, we understand what setting these requests, these insistences to meet are based on. ChatGPT already assessed and she saw them, and she fucking said she actually watched through all the videos. The AI told her what it is why it's not making sense what she's doing, so that she actually still tries to reform a new email here to barf and vomit the same shit again is disgusting to me. My emotional reaction is like, God, it's like, rah! My bones want to jump out of my fucking skin seeing this. Stop abusing me with this. These words are abusive to me. Obviously, not unreasonable of a thing to say for someone in my position. Anyone witnessing or watching could naturally see and agree. We continue. I realize we need to meet to clarify all the issues and to move forward. See, you being forced to meet with me is the moving forward. Never mind that I'm sorry for the thing that I did that lost me my ability to meet with you, my son. See how that part's missing? Right, see, I'm saying that now, and this is posted, and she should be seeing this too eventually. All right, so after her seeing this one day, you think she's going to write back the same? Right, if she does, we know that'd be cuckoo, right? Yeah? Bet you she will anyway. So what's the hope? We continue. But then what is it we gauge? Frame and version. I know I said I wasn't going to analyze so much, but this is the minimal analysis of observation here that's being put on. She keeps saying, she goes on to say, but you keep declining our much needed meetings. I'm gonna even go so far as to say this. Yeah, I agree that in the paradigm of actually properly restoring, they would be, of course, much needed. But the part she's missing, that anyone here watching, and it should be including her if she has a brain grown enough by now, but to this day, May 10th, she has not, which is insane, is that much needed in order for meetings to be possible is her screaming her regret about having canceled the prior meetings with me and Anthony when she did that arrogantly. Do we remember? We remember this video from September of 2023 posted. Canceled meeting of Labor Day weekend, part 1 of 2. We go on.
And I just saw what you sent.
To cover everything. I remember where I was sitting exactly.
We listed every single aspect.
All of this that was covered.
Only now, for the first time,
discussing about it, talking about it.
But he is not speaking the same mother tongue that you speak. He has a different mother tongue.
And that point there, within part 2 of 2, as shown here, of the canceled meeting of Labor Day weekend video, Dr. Amshanetra, again, same thing. We keep seeing, in fact, very true, the mother here, Barbara, keeps speaking a different tongue, a different energy, a different programming, different filter and lens than I am. So she keeps missing what the core programming is, because she isn't having actual love and respect. She's trying to make her idea of it without understanding that it's missing the mark, because it's missing the God programming. The whole thing was covered here.
He has the sorrow.
That's why, guys. Thank you, Linda.
We recall all of this. Apparently this one had more of a featured other people. We had a little bit of the stuff, but the point is, September, I was very angry at this. This was posted 3 weeks after the whole damn thing. It took me 3 weeks to put this stuff together. The extreme energy that's put here. But of course, that canceled meeting and the way it happened wasn't even the first time that it happened. Remember, we actually gave her a one free chance. We overlooked it. That we even made it a possibility to sit down for late August and early September. After May, and she canceled originally in May, we recall. You remember that crap? Yeah.
And mortals than I am. Well, if that's true, do you think that I'm right on a whole bunch of things, but then somewhere else I'm completely wrong? That's the part you don't seem to understand.
And this is the part that she still doesn't seem to understand. This many videos, this much time, this was a year ago, she still doesn't understand that she did the things that closed God's door, and I am an agent of God, so I cannot go against the God program, so I have to ensure that the door is closed until you merit its reopening. You can't go to a priest, say, I want to come to church and do the regular stuff. Well, I don't want to confess today. Priest, you'd better just let me have a communion again without, without having me confess. You got it now? Oh, you're not letting me have that special thing? Oh, you're a bad priest. No, you can't invert the paradigm. Doesn't work. I'm the priest, in essence, quote unquote, of God. When I'm your teacher, I'm telling you, no, when you do that, you have to have the new setting be your ruler now. You're subject to the rule. The rule is not subject to you, is opposite. But let's go back to the email. But from what we see here, is she taking the responsibility? No. She keeps playing the victim supposedly again, saying, oh, I realize that we need to meet. You keep declining, as if to frame that I'm the one who's responsible for the negative aspect of it. No. She keeps choosing not to be a remorseful and repentant and genuinely sorry, genuinely regretting her previous actions. I wrote this very clearly in the many previous emails. Do you think the rest of her email here actually has any apology about that specific thing that would make any person think that she, even to make it even likely that she's genuinely sorry, let alone reasonably true? Certainly not. Let's resume. She continues to say, if you are sick and you need help, all kinds of offers to meet should be accepted. This is the most disgusting thing I ever read in my life. That if you're weak, you're supposed to accept your abuser's help so that you participate further in the domination of you circumstantially. That's the only thing that comes across to this aspect of the God programming ordination. But men say dignity first. I'd rather die than live on my knees. Get it? All men of history, of all human beings, of all civilization are programmed this way. Because we're agents of God, closer to God than women are. I'm tired of repeating the same thing. And the more I go over it, I'm like, I see more and more clearly it's true. She insists, you'd better just give me the free passes that I want. If you're sick, you're supposed to bend in weakness. You're not supposed to be strong, upholding morals when you're sick. So of course I want to stress how sick you are. That's her mode. I'm going to stress how sick you are. And then, see, since I say how sick you are, and maybe you say you're sick, but you think it's a different kind of sick than I am, it doesn't matter. You be weak now and do what I tell you to. You follow mommy. Mommy's boss. That's the only addiction she knows. She continues, I'm very sorry that things with you went that way. So she's not sorry for the wrong things she did, genuinely. At first she just writes, I'm very sorry that things with you went that way, okay? But then, here's what finally she gets to a point where she realizes this is an opportunity for me to genuinely put forth whatever is actually in my heart, to demonstrate that if I'm actually sorry for anything that I actually did for real. Okay, humanity of the world, converge upon this and see Does this deviate from the complete inauthenticity that we found from her email from 5 months ago? Her quote unquote apology email that Anthony rejected, I rejected, and ChatGPT rejected? In terms of its supposed authenticity, we rejected that. So you would think if she had the plasticity and the learning, and then 5 months extra of many emails going back and forth of me carefully explaining this is why you're not having a meeting, this is why. So therefore, hint: in order to get a meeting, you need to do this. But if she doesn't have the substance, we're testing for your substance in your heart. You know, the thing you can't fake. So no matter what words you say, if we're clear-eyed in life, which we are on this end of things, we see you, we see her. In other words, if she fails to show, she could try to fake the words. What words do I need to put in order to make it look good? No, it will never work that way, because we can always smell the fake. So now let's see. Does she put forward a genuine repentance, a genuine regret? Do we see a genuine remorse in the heart of this woman here? Let's see. Quote, once again, accept. She's not even asking, she's not even petitioning, she's telling you to accept it. The psychopathy, in essence, basically. The narcissism, really. She's telling me to accept it. Accept my most sincere apology for whatever went wrong. You know, just accept it for whatever went wrong. Guys, do you see an apology here? This email from Anthony showing and exposing what it is that my mom wrote to him, actually, at that point in time, shows that from her point number 3 to Anthony, she wrote, among a whole bunch of other things shown here that you could skim through if you like and pause and read, and we see what it is, all this crap that exposes the true nature of her heart. She wrote things such as, independent person who reviews, where she's basically accusing Anthony of being unreliable since he found in my favor. See how the funny mind works? Oh, it can't be any of the friends since they'll always be on one side. Yeah, the opinions will be polluted. They won't be honest. They won't be correct, she says. If you're the friend, automatically it can't be correct. Wrong. But now a new witness is going to punish her, basically, so to speak, by making it clear, oh no, she would almost certainly will guarantee to be said, someone who started as a neutral person and not biased, unknown to us, technically being paid not to support any side, but to see what the truth is and then support the side that truth supports. It's going to be, yeah, Anthony was right, lady. So you need to go apologize to Anthony. Imagine the embarrassment of that you implied he wasn't correct. See how terrible my mom puts herself in these crazy positions. But she goes on and says, we need to get to the bottom of all the problems, and then she goes on to admit, I honestly can't apologize for wrongdoings that he mentioned, that is, every single thing listed specifically, which she admitted, in my heart I feel they were not wrongdoings. That's it. That's it. There you go. She goes on to state that, honestly, I don't identify with the majority of the wrongdoings that my son's accusing me of, in essence. She goes on to further state, I strongly feel that the opposite is what's true. Wow. Wow. Not only a little bit, she strongly feels. Get it? On the top line there, she even says to Anthony that, in essence, quote, he, that is me, John could have chosen to do the right thing, but he didn't. Wrong. I didn't do a single wrong thing. And nor can she find, so if she's accusing me of implicitly having done something wrong, where I deny it, she has the obligation to then find any human being on earth anywhere who would naturally agree with her, who understands both sides fully, who would then go, yeah, Barbara's right, John did wrong. How's it that a year and a half later she hasn't found any existing human being who agrees with her? Not a single one person. Exactly right. That should be the first hint that the position that she is showing here at the top is delusional. Because it's wrong. But women have an inability to correctly see in life. I really am just getting less and less bashful about just saying it straight because it's more and more obvious. That's it. The ancients, our ancestors are fucking correct. That's it. I see it extremely strongly now. Look at her funny position here. She even wrote to Anthony, Anthony, the meetings didn't work since they didn't bring any solutions. Oh, but funny, now she wants the meetings, so now, John, how dare you not have any meetings? Oh, well, Barbara, we're only agreeing with you. You yourself said the meetings didn't work. Ah, so now it doesn't work, huh? Oh, now it does work. So whatever Barbara thinks about it is the correct line. So when she switches back and forth, it doesn't matter if I switch back and forth. Whatever I happen to be thinking at the time is wrong unless it agrees with her. This is how narcissistic people think. Don't you get it? She goes on to state here that the inconveniences about these meetings were why, it goes on to say, the third meeting was canceled by me, by Barbara. It was canceled with the idea to write the answers down on the letter so I could give it to John under the door, remember? Oh, whoops, when I had her now say, yeah, give me those letters, both back then in the fall there and then now in the spring again, twice she balked at it. She failed to do it. She stepped back what she was supposed to deliver. And she describes furthermore here, this brought disagreement. Both of you are offended. Oh, bravo. The only thing I have to give applause for is that she actually correctly realized, yeah, we were offended because the cancellation was offensive to our dignity. And that's what makes it objectively wrong. Within context, assuming that within the context is supported that it was right for us to feel indignant, it was, so therefore it's wrong, so Barbara needs to learn the lesson. But does she learned the lesson? No, she admitted to Anthony plainly with her words. Next sentence. Now, I believe, even though you're offended, she goes on to say, even though you're offended, I believe it was a great idea anyway. And that it should have been supported, and you're not even supposed to criticize it. Ha 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 ha. The cuckoo never ends. So I cancel it and everything's fine. And later she writes, I can't apologize for any of that. Oh, but one more thing. I really hope I find this one. Please, God, where is it? I'm like, my God, I reviewed all this before. It's like vomit-inducing. I hate this shit. Working with fucking cluster B sicko, psycho type people, basically, in essence, I'm tired of this shit. I hate this shit. Blah! Again, it's revolting to me. Continuing. Near the bottom of the screen, she wrote this to Anthony, which was really insulting to Anthony. She wrote, we could use you, Anthony, but with all the respect, I don't feel you could be 100% objective. In your email, I see a lot of conclusions that Anthony, the witness, made, which are not correct. Even though I add here as a side note, he took a whole year of he was extra careful. He took a whole year before he came to his conclusions. And trust me, they were correct. But she doesn't see it that way because anyone who disagrees with her obviously can't be correct. Because they're outside of her bounds of her frame that she's wearing there, localized within her mind there. Automatically, for a woman, that means they're wrong. Uh-oh, problem. I see a lot of things not correct. They're one-sided. They're not one-sided. They're just simply, they found the correct answer. The correct answer is always one-sided. From God, the correct answer, okay, that's one-sided. You are right, you are wrong. It's very simple. She goes on to say, unless you are just sending John's answers, not yours. And this shouldn't be allowed if you want to be honest and objective. Well, I'll say this. First of all, him agreeing with what I am finding isn't a lack of honesty nor a lack of objectivity. If there's two sides to a problem and then he hears both sides, then he has to agree with one of those sides, with what one of those persons are saying, where he in his mind assesses, and then finds that what I write is the correct thing, he agrees. But I also want to clarify, Anthony wasn't mindlessly taking what I was writing and sending it along. I was writing to him directly to say basically how it is that I feel and what it is that I would feel would be right for him to send to her. But there's an intermediary step. He wasn't just randomly going, okay, I copy this and I'm your mouthpiece and I send it. No, every single thing I wrote, he would assess it. Many of the things he would read, he would say, okay, I agree with this, and then he'd see something else, he'd say, no, I'm not going to agree with that, I won't send that. Why? Because he didn't feel that way. So I'm telling you, I'm assuring you again, months later, and he would assure you the same thing when you approach him. And he did. He spoke for himself in his subsequent response, and I can vouch. Everything that came from him to my mom was a genuine and authentic expression that he put together and formatted with his own words. Do you understand it? That's it. So my mom's implications here are essentially wrong. That's it. And lastly, I want to find one thing. I really hope I find it. Let's see. I'm skimming through different emails. I can't exactly find it yet, which I'm a little upset about, because there was another portion of something that she wrote to Anthony that he shared with me as well that really showed her for what she is. It lightly relates to what she put on the top of the screen, but I think she wrote it somewhere else. She said it a little differently, and it was like, it really revealed her for what she really is. For now, let me read this first part. She said on the top here, we need to get a true neutral witness to solve the dilemma. She goes to say, if that true third-party neutral witness, she was accusing Anthony of not being one, if that person will decide that I, Barbara, was wrong, oh, well, then I will definitely apologize to my son. How about that? What's the offensive implication of that there? Is that when John tells you that you're wrong, you don't understand it, and your mind does mental gymnastics to avoid understanding how you're wrong. But when another person who even a true neutral third-party witness who objectively assesses, and then they're not neutral anymore because they chose the correct side, and they also tell you, yeah, Barbara, you're wrong. Oh, then that person makes sense. Oh, okay. Oh, now I realize I'm wrong. Yeah, John was saying the same thing to you from the beginning. So the inherent offense is that you didn't understand when John told you, but John was saying the correct thing all along, but that somebody else who isn't your son. So it's implying that somebody else is somehow smarter than your own son. I wanted to believe it if my son tells me I'm wrong. Oh, but someone else who's not connected to him so closely says I'm wrong, then I must be wrong. So just because you show yourself as holding that kind of mindset really in your heart, you just disqualified yourself from ever. It's going to be almost impossible for an apology to be genuinely believable from you ever. Oh, you're only apologizing because someone else told you you're wrong. The traps that women make, they only entrap themselves in the hell. Now, mind you, the other reference I wanted to make, there's some other portion, I'm 99% sure, that my mom wrote within some email, where she basically mentioned again how she was going to apologize to me, quote unquote apologize, but she basically said it something like this. I really need to find it. It's just such a large volume of stuff. Oh my god, can't you get it? It's still not fucking working correctly in her brain. What's wrong with her? Don't you get it? Help somebody, help. Don't you get it? She goes on to say in some other portion, oh, you know what, Anthony? I'll tell you what. I'm just going to tell him some apology, like blanket apology, just to cover for everything that he wants, so that will then be okay. So that after that, we will then get to correctly bring him into the therapy. Because the only obstacle is that he wants apology. Okay, so as soon as I just say, apology, oh, now it has to be good. Now everyone can start dancing to my instructions, right? Basically, that's what she wrote in a condensed form, but the implications of what she said in form, it was just about all that I said. Yeah, that's somewhere nested in all the many fucking emails and texts that went back and forth between her and him, and then later. I can't find that exact one, but it's there somewhere. I saw that because he sent that to me. Because it's like, yeah, there's what your mother really is. Fucking disgusting. And then right after she said that to him, within a very relatively short period of time, is what came this whole thing that we saw that came from her suddenly, magically in late December. I remember because Anthony wrote to her saying, yeah, he's not going to go, he wouldn't even consider therapy possible unless there was a full repentance, or full reconciliation. She said, oh, that in her mind, like a switch turned. She goes, that's it, I have to show the apology. But, broken people, narcissistic people, I think that only at the level of form they do something and how the world's going to work. Like washing a dirty glass, you run it under water for a second, then you call it clean, even though it's not clean, it's still dirty. I remember when Francesca came, she was like, what the fuck is this dirty shit? Oh, my mom washed it. She calls that clean? It was sick. It was sick. How you do one thing is how you do everything in life. We continue. Where she wrote this email to me here, oh, I'm sorry for everything. Not, she didn't even write really everything. She wrote, I'm sorry for whatever went wrong. Sorry. Okay, that. Really? That's supposed to lead us to believe that she actually has remorse? No, she confessed to Anthony within the days or so, weeks prior, immediately there, before then, that I'm not really sorry at all. Come on. So why would we accept this shit now? Fast forward to today, it becomes all this. It becomes the same crap, plus, close to the middle of the body of text here, the quote, I'm very sorry that things with you went that way. Once again, I just accept my, she says it's most sincere. Oh, so because she said most sincere and included the words there, she thinks, okay, now that I input most and then put the word sincere after that, now it is most sincere because I said it's most sincere, so that makes it most sincere. No, this is what cluster B personality disorder people don't understand. Because you say I am sincere doesn't make it sincere. Sincerity is the underlying substantive current that runs, that is felt by the person who's receiving it. If you fail to deliver it, then we can see you're a faker who's just putting the coating, icing on a mud pie, as they say. I'm tired of these shits. It's the same recycled offense again. How can we tell? Because it's the same shit. Anyone in the world, go, be in my shoes and read it and tell me if you feel she regrets what she did. If the answer is no, then naturally the apology is a fucking fake bullshit rejectable apology, which is actually an offense in itself, that it actually made her position even worse because she attempted a fake one again. Don't you get it? Because it's dignity. Like, how dare you even try to pull the same stunt again? Indignation. That's what it counts as offense in this world. Duh. So she's wrong here for that reason. That's very clear now. For, as she said, most sincere apology for whatever went wrong. That stinks like garbage. She continues. I never meant for you to be sick and suffer. This is the last thing I want in life. I believe that it's the last thing she wants in life. I believe she didn't mean for me to be sick, but that part is not excusable. Her conduct permitted me to live like a fucking neglected, abused dog and animal in a shithole here. So it doesn't matter if she says, I didn't... Sorry, guys. I can't help but cake in the analysis as I'm reading along, because it's just too emotionally charged. I did my best, but this is as good as it's going to get. But it's pretty good, I think, anyway. Doesn't matter if you didn't mean for it to be sick. If your recklessness was such that you or any reasonable person in your position should understand that your continued, the way you're acting is unfairly contributing to my having a harder time running along, living my day-to-day life, then you are fully liable for it. So therefore, writing that I didn't mean to doesn't cancel the fucking God pain death curse that comes through a lightning bolt from a sky onto your neck, that brings you into hell, that you go to hell and live there for the rest of your life after death. You don't understand how karma in life works? This doesn't pay the debt. So atonement has to be a full paying of the debt. This fails to pay the debt. We understand that concept. That's it. It's that clear. I really just don't understand what the problem is on her end, because unless it's just narcissism, cluster B, and retardation or some other problem. Continuing. She goes on to say, I love you always. I want the best for you, but I love it how already when she wrote I love you always, I'm like, you say that, but you don't act that way. And in my heart, I was like, watch, there's going to be some kind of cancellation. I love you always and I want the best for you, but. Anytime you start a sentence in English, vibrationally, when you say so and so and so, but so and so and so, the but has the effect of causing the second thing that comes after to effectively cancel the vibration of the first thing. So even my mom, when she writes to me, she can't help subconsciously but to write something, and then she cancels it energetically by whatever she does next. So there you go. Because the thing that comes after the but is the important thing. But, as she continues to say, I was put in this impossible situation when all the help was declined for months. It's meant to be impossible. Actually, it is possible. I'm making the acceptance of help impossible on purpose. I'd accept help from anybody else. I'm not accepting help from you to force teach you. You're a lost sheep and you have to be shepherded into the correct tunnel because you're broken. So I have a shepherd's responsibility to block that path. If I let you go through the wrong path, I'm a bad shepherd and I don't deserve to be a shepherd. You get it? When you're the wrong one, the one who's victimized, who sees that the victimizer is the wrong one, the victimizer has a moral, godly obligation to, in some sense, become the shepherd of the situation. Of course. Not the one who was the wrongdoer, because they would shepherd it wrong because their instinct was wrong to begin with. That was the thing that was responsible for them making the wrongs in the first place, and probably they didn't learn since then. So it makes perfect sense. We continue. So she complains, it was an impossible situation when all the help was declined. It's interesting, she perceives it as impossible, but I kept saying, no, the way forward is you have to actually be sorry for what you did, and that makes everything possible and open easily. And in response, I've said that multiple times probably in essence in all the prior emails. Is that true? Yes, it's true, you remember. And her reaction to that, it's that, why is this impossible? So she confesses herself. Her feeling genuinely sorry is impossible. So when she says here implicitly that her genuinely feeling sorry is impossible, then she accepts me on the other side of her mouth to accept the apology that she put a little earlier. She said, oh yeah, sorry that I did wrong. But then later, it's impossible. Well, meanwhile, there's a whole big opening here, the one we're trying to responsibly shepherd her into. That's the one where you're actually having the change of spirit because you're actually sorry for what you did. And she sees no path there because in her mind that's a block also. So now, yeah, she looks around, I don't know, impossible. That exposes her for what she is, which means necessarily that exposes. That still to this day, it cannot be accepted any quote-unquote apology from her because that would be sick and stupid. It's not acceptable. Easy. This stuff is so easy. Fucking idiot, low emotional. The saddest thing is a low emotionally intelligent woman. Sad stuff. So all this is rejected. And she further continues to frame it as if it was bad that I declined it for months, her help. But actually, in life, the general moral principle is that when party A offends party B and remains unapologetic and non-remorseful, non-regretful of what they did, party B becomes fully entitled to, and in fact they have the obligation, morally speaking, if they themselves want to remain with integrity of the good programming in life, to reject any gift or benefit that comes from party A, except anything that was strictly owed prior that would transcend that equation. You see? Holding anything different would be the same as if I'm going to go to my neighbor down the street, rob his house, be his robber, go put on a ski mask, hold up his whole family, but he knows who I am, recognizing my voice, and it's just clear, we all know that I'm there and I'm just going to rob him. And then, after he's been robbed, the police don't even bother to find me, I don't know why, and just a week later I'm going to walk down the street, and I'm going to go down to their house, and they're fucking terrified of me, / extremely angry with me, and they probably would want to fight me once they see me. No, I'm going to go there and I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'm not sorry for anything I did, but listen, take these things that I have these old clothes I don't want to wear anymore. They're for you. Well, you'd better take them. You're supposed to take them, accept them. Come on, start wearing my old clothes now. Even though I'm not sorry. I'm still your dominator / abuser. Okay? You remain the dominator, abuser, and the guilt of that for as long as you aren't actually sorry for what you did. So I'm not obligated to accept. But what is she putting here in this email? We see. It's, quote, oh, I don't understand, in essence, why you didn't accept it. Oh, you're not accepting for months. That's bad of you. No. Or the millionth time, I'm saying no. Wrong application of principle. Barbara's brain doesn't understand how life actually works. We're tired of it. Witnesses, I think you might start... one witness right now on this You might need to start really speaking up for me more full time, because at this rate, we're going to hit that final wall where it's just like block. There's going to be zero communication. We were at that level before, remember? If we had a more integrated witness, Anthony. I can't do this. Every time I give my mom the chance, only the veins in my neck fatten from the stress and anger that she puts in me when she writes what? Crap like this, which you're seeing on the screen now. Another wave of anger. Another wave of anger. Stop it. Someone beat her. Fuck, beat her. God damn it. Help. Help. She's not getting how stupid she is. Help. Continuing. She goes on. Also, the lack of proper treatment. See, it's all about this, guys. Lack of proper treatment leads to these kinds of situations. Yeah. I believe that there's going to be a magic pill they're going to give you, and that's going to make everything okay. Never mind that even plausibly, possibly, it could be true that there's a hole in your throat. You've been swallowing things into your brain. You're rotting parts of your brain. You're having brain damage where your girlfriend kept noticing even every time after he eats and swallows, all of a sudden the color in his face changes, his eyes change, and he stops being able to speak for hours at a time. And she tracked that for several months in a row with extreme consistency, going, what the fucking hell is happening? It really seems like it. Then she found through other... You all know that story, or some of you. Many other variables and factors that seem to suggest, my God, something's wrong with this guy. Is not just neurological merely. There's a neurological component, but it's not nothing. There seems to be a medical, physical problem too that's allowing this to happen. Oh my God. No. When brain damage onsets through that kind of route, there's not a pill that you can take that magically stops that. You have to actually solve the problem that's allowing it to take place, which this woman, if she doesn't know how to think through this, you think she knows how to think through anything more objective and comprehensive and sophisticated like this? No. So she goes back to this. Basically, I think you're mentally fucking sick, and as long as you follow my ideas that you go and get a pill, never mind the fact that I said my metabolism doesn't work properly, or my mom herself smelled years ago that would come back from the bar and 6 days out smell of alcohol. That, plus a low respiratory rate of 3 breaths per minute, and the fact, many other supportive factors too, keeps showing you that I'm not metabolizing things at the correct rate. So if I have that issue, why would I go and deal with doctors on a forcible basis where they believe, oh, you're going to take these pills? What fucking pills? At a regular dose, I'll take 5 of them, and that'll twist my neurology to fucking hell, and I won't be able to undo that. And I have a very scary story from when I was in the psych ward most recently. Something with my roommate. Guy was basically fucked up, crying, punching people all the time. But in the room, he liked me a lot. He was confiding in me, and he said, dude, I was fine before I came here. Then I started taking the medications. That made me lose my mind. And now they can't do anything. Now, 2 months later, I've been forced to take it every day. And now I feel like insane. And before I felt much better when I came here. I came in here for something minor. I never forgot that. I was like, holy God. Oh my God. I felt so bad for that guy. You could tell in his eyes he was telling truthful. He was like, fuck, I saw it. Okay? Never fucking turn to the medical industry. This is the same industry that set up COVID-19 vaccinations that is killing everybody. You don't get it? Those are the same makers of the fucking same pills that my mom's championing here. What a fucking dumb woman. Figure it out. There's no problem that something's wrong with the treatment. Hell, I can't function because I tore the fucking connective corpus callosum 3 years ago plus. Or my girlfriend witnessed all of a sudden the left side and right sides of my body became neurologically decoherent to the point that she could watch it. She was like, dude, I'm watching your body. What you're doing with your body's insane. Then she looked up stuff online. She found this. She's like, oh my God. One of the symptoms is that and she's reading, he's not going to be able to verbalize things out of his left eye. That's a sign that his corpus callosum has become damaged from the infiltration, in my case, of food pumping into my cranial cavity for 4+ years now. So she came up to me, she said, John, let me test you. Close this eye. I close that eye. She says, how many fingers am I holding up? I say 4, 3, 5, 0, 2, 5, 2, 3. She says, okay, cover your other eye. Uh-huh. How many fingers am I holding up? She was holding up 2 fingers, and I'd go, she's like, how many fingers am I holding up? I'm like, and she changes. Now, how many fingers am I holding up? I could see there's 4, and I'm trying to verbalize, and she's like, yup. Oh my God. And she looks down at what she read from the medical source, the authority on how to what the symptoms of that are, and she's like, yup, that checks out. What I was seeing earlier about you and your 2 sides decohered, that it looked like you had 2 different fucking controllers of the 2 sides of your body. She went, found that, tested on me, and found that I can't verbalize what I'm seeing in my left eye. And she's like, yep, that's a sign that your corpus callosum is actually physically damaged. So Barbara, they don't make pills for that, dumbass. Then I remember Sarah kept looking, and she's like, okay, I see it's true live, but other people would doubt. They'd say, oh, maybe they think you're putting on a performance for them. So she kept looking with me for other signs that are signs that you can't fake. And then after, eventually we found one source shown in a video somewhere where they featured one of these people who had their corpus callosum severed surgically, where they then found that these people are able to do something that no one else can do. If you have a normal brain and an intact corpus callosum, where you have full integrity of both sides of your brain are integrated, the cross communication produces a kind of surround noise that makes it impossible for you to decohere from it so fully that if you have 2 pens, one in your right hand, one in your left hand, you draw a perfect circle at the same time with the left hand as you're drawing a square with your right hand. That your square doesn't become slightly circular and jagged, or your circle doesn't become slightly square and jagged. They said, we've done this test. We know that a normal person cannot do this. It's basically impossible. Okay? But if you take someone who had their corpus callosum severed or damaged, it becomes possible to do this. And they showed a person on the video doing it. So Sarah looked at me and she's like, can you do this? Let's test you right now. She put a pen in one hand. She put a pen in my other hand. 2 pieces of paper. She's like, draw them both together. Perfect circle, perfect square. She was like, oh my fucking God. She's like, it actually looks like you have 2 different brains powering your left and your right. Wow. And then she sat down, and for the next 2 hours she tried to do it. And out of 1,000 attempts, she was successful 0 times. She's like, that's fucking crazy. She's like, dude, it's very clear you have brain damage. And I'm saying, yeah. And I remember when I kept saying food's going into my brain, so you understand what causes it. This is sort of a longer story made more short. She's like, yeah, that's unbelievable. And of course, she goes on to say, I not only felt the temperature change behind your eyeball affecting exactly the way you exclaimed it was that one day, but she also goes, I further found it when I used the thermal camera, and we tracked the ice cream that you were swallowing going into the side of your skull, which was unbelievable. And she had that evidence in her camera, where we then attempted to have other control subjects do that, including her, and again, impossible to replicate. She swallowed 20 times the amount of cold ice cream, 20 times faster, and she couldn't get 1 fucking tenth of the way to get, or a 50th of the way to get her skull temperature to change, because cold stuff swallowed down your throat immediately after, as it transiently passes for a quarter of a second, doesn't do that to the top side of your fucking skull. That's not how physics works. You people are levels and layers behind. But here's, now with that context understood, plus everything else I've been dealing with, plus I can feel the proprioception, the weight change. You can see the weighting of my head change. My head will start tipping over to the side that corresponds to the hemisphere in which the packed pressure of the stuff is entering into. We've discussed all this. People around me know. Plus the new girl I've been hanging out with recently for the last few weeks. She's okay. She's pretty nice. she's also witnessed a lot of this stuff when she too was like, oh my God, what a crazy thing. But she's like, I believe it completely. I see it's real. I see the effects, and my God. And also she started noticing too, after I eat, it becomes worse. And she's like, yeah, it's just clear. It's just clear. That's not a treatment. You go for treatment. They're going to diagnose you. See how, quote unquote, sick he is? Yeah, help, quote unquote, help him. Like they helped my roommate from that fucking time I was there. Yeah, sure. Never give your fucking trust to these fucking systems. And my mom, most of all, should know that because she's been alternative community for the longest of time. And even she doesn't know what to do. Why? Because fear. Fear is the only thing that makes you what? Stop thinking accurately. So always go to the ones who have no fear, and they will always think like laser precision machines. I have no fear. I see correct things perfectly. Always bow to the master. I'm tired of this shit. So here she is. As if to remind, listen, lack of proper treatment, it leads to this kind of situations. I've been trying to have people help me get diagnosis for this, and I've been telling the medical community what type of MRI scan to develop in order to make this catchable. But no one's advocating for me, and they also don't like to listen to me. Why? Because they just open up my file, they see me, they go, this stuff sounds kind of nuts, and really, anything that's not outside the bounds of what I'm trained in is experimental, so I don't feel like it. So I have to go to another country to get this done. But no one's helping me coordinate these things. And what's the problem? I have brain damage. So how am I supposed to coordinate it myself? All I could do is speak well. I have problems cohering the environmental things to move there and take that there. Like stuff like that. Meanwhile, it's the opposite for everybody else. They know how to move there and take that, but they don't know why they should be doing it, or they think they do, but their idea is wrong. It's always inversion. Visionary versus doer energy. Yin versus yang programming. And that way I have more yin programming basis. That's why I can kind of criticize yin very well, because I actually am a better yin. So you get it? It's crazy. We continue. So there's your backdrop there in your context by which we can assess the impropriety of this statement here. Also, lack of proper treatment leads to this kind of situation. So you need to get it now. Be open to all kinds of testings, all kinds of evaluations. That's her, again, her euphemistic way of asserting, come on, just participate and believe that you might have a mental disorder. Come on. I've only thought since 2017 or so that you have schizophrenia. I've analyzed this whole situation in other sections. I'm going to do a renewed evaluation of this whole situation on a separate video, probably. I'm going to send that directly to the witness Fallon. I want her to have a very complete understanding of my entire psychiatric history, so to speak. History, quote unquote, but with the correct contextual understanding, with the concurrent backdrop of understanding that the actual issues I'm dealing with here are real. Then we continue to analyze the psychiatric component of it based on what's there with the proper context, and then we go to see like, right. And you can see the mistakes the mom made in her lines of thinking and where she made the mistakes. But already I could say this. Here's the sad part, guys. I already exposed and revealed a sufficient portion of this in all the prior videos, especially the ones in the playlist. If my mom went through all that like she says she did, but she keeps basically repeating the same thing that she's saying over and over again, like a broken horse, then you can see it's not going to work. Somebody else needs to go to her and speak to her for me and say, Barbara, I see what you are missing, and I see that you are missing it, and let me, somebody else, explain to you what it is that you are missing and why the way that you are thinking doesn't make full sense, because necessarily it is missing this specific bit of understanding or insight here, which I am going to explain to you now, and you explain it to her. Because even though I do a nearly perfect job of doing this, she still doesn't want to accept it. Why? Because it's psychological. Lastly, I'll say this. We found signs of this already because Anthony, the witness, remembered that there was some, earlier on, years ago, there were signs that something was wrong, but none of it started to be confirmed yet. Right? They didn't find, I had a few diagnoses suggesting that there are physical medical things wrong with me. They found the high ammonia, extremely high ammonia, which properly ought to confirm exactly the thing I said I have, which is hepatic encephalopathy, They say first symptom is high ammonia. Normal people almost never have high ammonia, but people have hepatic encephalopathy have high ammonia. Then I go test it. My ammonia is at 100 something. But the doctor who did the test, interpretively, he's stupid. He sees the 100 something ammonia. I go online, they say, yeah, that's definitely hepatic encephalopathy. But I had that basically corroborated by a smart psychopharmacologist from India. She says, yeah, that's definitely hepatic encephalopathy, dude. I go to my own doctor who took the test, who's stupid. That one, in my own native country here, he just goes, oh no, I just took it. Oh, now I see it's high. Okay, that's nice. I'm like, what do you mean that's nice? Do something about it. Make a proper diagnosis. Well, I don't really know anything about that stuff. I don't know. That could be for any reason. I don't know. Go see somebody else. And I'm like, I know what it is already. I talked to the doc. I know what it is from my own understanding. And I have a super high IQ. Plus, I went to another doctor from India and she corroborated. I know what it is. And he says, okay, I don't know. So that's my life. And then my mom goes, what did the doctor say? And then I say, okay, I have hepatic encephalopathy, but they're a little bit behind. And then she only understands from that, oh, he thinks he has stuff that he might not have, even though she herself witnessed that I was smelling like alcohol for 6 days without drinking any alcohol for 6 days, which would be impossible unless you had hepatic encephalopathy. And as if she completely forgot that, or completely forgot that she came down here one day about 3 years ago and ran up to me after she opened the door going, oh my God, why is your head smaller in the back? Because she actually saw that there was a change to the shape of the head, which I was saying already, and she found it. I'm like, yeah, now you're seeing it correctly. You can't fake that. She saw it from her own eyeballs. Despite that, she can then delete her memory and then go, oh, because the new frame takes control. Remember, frame worship, guys, the sickness of women. Magically forget the truth and go, oh, he thinks he has something wrong with him. Oh, he must be crazy. Help us. I hate stupid women. I hate stupid women. You get it? Because they think they know when they're actually the least fucking in the know. Their logic doesn't work. On average. There's exceptions and they're tremendously wonderful, actually. I just don't see them almost anywhere. They're very rare, much more rare than what men's thinking are. But even men around me are stupid. So, we're screwed either way then. Good. Fuck. It shouldn't even be men or women. It's me versus not me. Because apparently anybody who's not me is a fucking idiot. That's the really way I fucking see it. Sadly. Ironically, most people see life that way too, except most of them are wrong. But actually, there will be, by natural order, one of those guys will be right. He actually will be the guy who's right all the time. Yeah. We continue. She goes on to state, oh yeah, and Anthony, he found that, one day she was just saying, oh, everything's fine, you fine. And then later became more obvious that I'm not fine. And then my mom at some point actually halfway conceded that there seems to be a legitimate medical, genuine existing issue. And then I remember asking her right on the spot, I said, Mom, you before kept denying it. Now you see it's true. So I said, why would you deny it before? You know what she said? She said, because I said it wasn't real because I didn't want it to be real. And that exposes the real. No man will ever think that way, but many women do. You think you can twist reality in the way we hold, but you're damaging actual life when you run your line of thinking that way. You get it? The longer you pretend it's not real, where your lack of acknowledgement of the thing being the actual way it is what continues to harm the situation. You keep thinking that closing your eyes and continuing in your imagination is the securement, when it's not. That's the false securement. You need to stop what you're doing, get up, and follow the man's instructions, exactly what you need to do. Also, what's very interesting is that multiple times when I was in the psych ward, and I'll explain all those stories wonderfully. I've did it in other places, and I'm going to give Fallon a full review of this. All my friends have seen it. They're like, wow, you have one of the most interesting stories around. And it shows how crazy and crappy the medical system is when you understand the full context of my story. I remember reviewing one of the medical files for one of those visits, close to 500 pages. Every single entry that a woman doctor made, her narrative about what they were holding and finding with me or trying to find an angle for, was the most wild, extreme, and baseless. It's like the craziest. Like the cuckoo's nest flew out a million miles. And the whole place was stocked almost with exclusively with women doctors. And then there's one male doctor who like intervened once and saw me for like one sit down once. And I remember sitting down with him. He had like like he was just on the level, and I was like, oh my god, like this guy seems like he's a little smarter. We had our talk. He did his assessment, then he wrote his notes. Later, I read his notes. The only note that came from like a guy who didn't have like who had like a guy's energy, a guy's personality. He had a man's mind. When I read what he wrote, his was so much more of a reasonable, rational, and much closer to the correct assessment by far over. And I could prove it to you with AI. I'm not going to because it's an extreme waste of time. It's not a waste of time. It would actually be very valuable and very humbling for many people. If I put in all those entries and then put in the story and then you had an AI analysis, the AI would show like, yeah, that doctor got it so much closer and all those other people there. And that was a man and all those were women. It's like, why? Why does that keep happening? Because there's some layer in there. It doesn't actually work with reality well. That's why they banned judges from being women back in the ancient days. And actually, funny enough, I kept trying to do like a logic problem with the woman I've been seeing recently. 45 minutes of sitting down with her, explaining to her something, and she couldn't get it. And after about 40 minutes in, I was like, fuck, like, because sometimes I think maybe I'm a little over-exaggerated with the whole gender thing. No, and then she showed me she couldn't understand it 40 minutes in. I'm like, I was like, any man would understand this. This would be like 1 + 1 = 2. You get it? Yeah. And it's like, I'm sitting there, 1 + 1 =, and she's just trying to create new solutions that don't make sense. You could track it. This is like a famous problem in economics. And I was like, fuck, like, yeah, their brains just don't work. They're not, the circuits don't complete. They're not meant for reality assessment to fix things in reality. They're meant for supporting men and making them feel fine. Bingo. Now you understand. You need to know where you are. But so this is my mom trying to make a man's life feel fine, but she's doing it the wrong way by her plan. So her plan is the shit that sucks. Replace the plan with my plan, and then when the woman is helping the man carry out that man's plan is when both the man and the woman will be more secure. You need to get the fucking order. You women don't know how to think for the most part, but I love the exceptions. I'm not sexist like you women had better stop thinking. No, what I tell people, despite all this, at the end I say in the Messianic age, the women actually will be higher than the men. Because when you set the frame to match the substance, because women are better following the frame, when you have the frame actually set truly correct, women will become better than men. You see what I'm saying? I truly understand that. It really is true. First of all, everyone will have a better time. Everyone will get to relax more. And women actually will be better than them because the frame will be set correctly. And so they actually will be better versions of life. But that only happens when you precisely, but the alignment of that frame onto the substance has to be carried out by men. So it's like we really are like the worker bees of the hive. But we run it. It won't work unless it runs the way we have it run. That part is always true from fucking bugs and bees to humans. You can't escape it because it transcends humanity. Male and female is a dynamic of all of life. There's no hope to resist it. We continue. So you see the slant that she comes in with, which is more offensive to me given that she should have known by now that this is a problem, and on and on. And as I mentioned Anthony a moment ago, Anthony heard about my mom saying that comment, like, oh, I didn't want to believe it, that's why I kept resisting it and rejecting it, simply because I didn't want to believe it. I'm like, yeah, but you see now evidence that it's true, or it was true. But then she forgets because her mind also doesn't work well. Anthony learned about that. I think he even wrote to her about that, saying like Barbara, I heard that this happened once, and he described the situation, and he was like, if that's true, that's also concerning, and that's a sign that you shouldn't be reliable for your own thinking. Basically, why are you even still here, believing yourself? Remember, class, don't believe yourselves. Continuing, she goes on to state, this is the priority. It needs to be taken seriously. Now I'm going to correct her right there. That's not the priority. You being good under God's law is the priority. You being godly is the priority. Us all being godly together is the priority. You being sorry genuinely for all wrong things you've done that have hurt people is more important than anything else. That is correct man's law. Nothing else matters. / God's law, really. And men can twist it, and sometimes, quote unquote, some man's law, it doesn't conform with that at all, and is a broken man's law. That's number one. So the full correction to the mother. No, if you have no correct relation with your son, because you have no correct, the relation has to be built on your goodness. So if you violated him, he will not be on your side. And then, so what chance do you even have? Everyone loses because you're too stupid to realize that you did wrong and to admit it. So, incorrect. That's not the priority. Your bowing and being on your kneeling is the priority. Continuing. She goes on to say, even if your place gets cleaned, once you're in the same position with no treatment and no help from others, you will face the same situation later. I say, yeah, but there's a way to get help and I know what it is, so continue following my plan. I know exactly what to do. That's it. Stop following your own plans because they're terrible. Follow my plans. You don't know how to get anything done. Trust me. The more you get involved, the more this, God forbid, the more the system goes according to your idea, the more actual people will be worse and suffering more. You don't fucking get it. And anyone would see that, including a witness, hopefully. We continue. So she asked the question, stupidly, what do you want me to do now? What kind of services do you expect from me now? First of all, you're supposed to apologize. So because she didn't actually do that for real, the whole thing is invalidated. But she tried to give a fake false one. Oh, it has the word apology in the sentence. That makes it an apology? No. Someone fucking call her bullshit out on this. Pause wherever necessary. Take notes. Get it ready. Please. Thank you. What do you want to expect from me now? Again, clueless. We recall that whole email that was covered above there briefly. What kind of services do you expect from me? I don't expect services from you. I wrote that clearly in the email. She continues to ask, do you consider to leave your apartment open today so I could get someone to clean today? Listen, bitch. You came in here without my permission, using my keys while I was locked up in the hospital to come into my apartment? And then you're further not sorry for anything you want, and you think I'm gonna leave open my apartment door? What the fuck does leave mean? As if I'm not even gonna be here. I'm gonna actually run out of my house? See, this is what I'm talking about. Women don't fucking think. Yeah, I'm gonna leave my apartment door open, and I'm not even gonna be around when you're here so that you get to be in here and with anyone else while I'm not fucking even here so that I can't fucking see what you're doing. Right? Are you fucking in outer space on fucking Pluto? What part of my fucking email that I wrote earlier above, to which this email from Barbara here is the reply to, what part of my email said that this? None of it. Of course not. We covered that more fully in another email outside, in another video outside of this. God help us. She's broken. Don't you get it? You could see the confusion spinning in her head. So here's where he'll be leaving the apartment door open, right? And I'll get someone to clean today? No, that's not what was discussed. I was telling her who in our lives could be there for me, who's in our personal thing, not someone who we're going to pay for. I said, I don't want that. Keep that in mind, because we're going to track where this goes. She then continues. She says, please specify, because what was already clear, when she has a crusty brain, it's not clear. So even though I said it clear, she's going to go on and say, please specify. What, nonsense things that she made up? It should be obvious that it's not going to be the case, and I'm going to be leaving my apartment door open, but she can't figure that, so she actually asked the question as if it's a viable alternative. This is how broken this woman is in her way of thinking. It doesn't work. Just how broken that is how broken her assumptions are about what I'm actually dealing with. Or which equals just how insane her assumptions are about how to properly manage the situation morally, and who's responsible and who's at fault. All of it's off. Now we agree with that, right? Yes. Stop, pause, take notes, point it out. All right, we continue. Last part of her email, she goes on to say, also, this conversation is private and confidential between us, and I don't want it on YouTube. My God. First, she's going to write a bunch of crazy shit that brings indignation to someone that's essentially offensive. And then when that person says, well, I have every right to complain because this is part of a larger pattern or conduct of bad behavior from a person, she then at the end, after you opened it, you didn't get any notice at the front, private and confidential, therefore it's understood. See, narcissists don't understand contract by, or consent by agreement. That's why on the outside of an envelope you write private and confidential. So by seeing that, beholding that, and then choosing to open that mail anyway to behold what's inside, you agree by conduct to keeping it private and confidential, barring certain restrictions, of course, including things that run against law. Well, here's moral law, number one, but number two, she inverts it. First she says a bunch of shit, and at the end as an afterthought, by the way, I'm telling you dictatedly, one-sidedly, that it's private and that I don't want it on YouTube, and therefore that it shouldn't be on YouTube. By the twisted woman's paradigm, when I put it on YouTube, and I am, why? Because this is another lesson to you. It doesn't work that way. You don't write a bunch of crazy crap to me, and then at the end, not even the beginning, but at the end, you put, without seeking permission or agreement, you just say, oh yeah, it's private, don't put it on YouTube, you can't. Fuck you. It's on YouTube. Why? Because you need to learn how life actually works. No moral obligation for me to keep this off of YouTube. You are wrong for trying to frame it that way. So there's another offense added to the list of offenses that Barbara's guilty of. You need to reform your entire inside programming. Is it impossible? Go to hell then. Bye-bye. Continuing. She goes on to say, our problem should be solved between us, not to become public. No, you're not getting it. They haven't been solved between us because in actuality, you're the wrongdoer and you victimize me and I'm rebuking you correctly, but you're failing to see it. I then have to turn to the public. I'm supposed to, / I'm essentially obligated to, / I'm definitely entitled to, and you're not entitled to assert a discouragement or prohibition against that, because that's only more offensive. But here she is again, our problem should be solved between us, not to become public. I'm waiting for you to answer this email now. How to proceed and help you fastest and best way possible. Again, poor context. Her primary concern is, how do I help you the fastest way possible? Not, oh, I see that you indicated to me that the fastest way possible involves me actually being sorry. But she's not actually remorseful about what she did because, as she admitted herself, she doesn't think she did anything wrong. So therefore, that's what makes reconciliation impossible, / makes it impossible for your help to ever be accepted by anyone in my position, not just me. Brainless person here. See it? I think I did a sufficiently deep enough analysis now. Pause if you'd like, skim through the email a second time. Let's catch anything else that we missed in context. Well, there it is for you if you like. I'm tired of it. Now, I started to draft something, but it's hardly complete. I'm not even going to cover it now. Pretend that's not there. We'll just continue because she added 2 extra emails. So let's just cover them real quick. They were added minutes later, hours later, one after another in chain. A little bit later, she adds, hi, so do you need help to clean tomorrow? She continues, I could try to get someone if you do. Who? Your friends? Your neighbors from this fucking building who have no respect, who participate in gossip about me, and when I walk by them, they stare at me and don't even fucking say a word and look at me with judgmental eyes? That person's not my fucking ally and friend. Why would I want them? Who are they to me? They're not anybody. So what was my email to her about, as we recall from the previous setting? If you have reference to that, or we skimmed through it or in the first part of this video, you know it from there. She continues to ask. So already the answer is no. Given what I wrote about, she should be saying, well, let's discuss the specific people. Who are they? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to her. It's about the function. It's not about the people. You're just a thing. Remember? It's all about operations. Stupid. She continues, do you need help with laundry too? I'll be happy to help you with that. So here she is again, having direct involvement or offering direct involvement, even though I told her in the previous email, obviously, because you're wrong and guilty and offensive to me, and you remain non-apologetic properly, not fake apology, but she offered another fake apology. I just say I'm sorry now, it's fine. No, you actually have to blast from the core of your heart how fucking truly terrified you are that you did the wrong thing and how much shame you have that you did it. Because that's the only thing that matters. An apology is supposed to represent the inner shame you have. You don't actually have the shame, but you're trying to say sorry. You're a fake piece of shit. God will curse you for that. And she says, yeah, let me know. Come on, I'll be happy to help you. No. I said before, if you offer me an offensive thing again, you're not going to get it. So this is a more reframe job. Come on, just conform to my pack circle, conform to my pack box cube, conform to mine, conform to mine, conform to mine. It's the only thing her program runs is be in my frame, be in my frame, be in my frame, when we know her frame's the offset thing from the substantive line, which to you is invisible. That's why men are here to manage women. From the beginning, the first words of the Bible, and my God, I really see so true. Beat your heads until you have amnesia. Don't know nothing, then you know everything. Even Socrates figured that out, basically. Barbara Winslow continues, I could find a cleaning company who could do really good cleaning of the apartment. Okay. Right there, you fucked up. Why? Because this is a direct response to, and I have to go find this part because this is just crazy, like, I literally wrote, I don't want strange people in here who are not fundamentally connected to us at a personal level somehow to come in here and be involved because I am not interested in this. In another part somewhere up there I wrote, I don't want paid people who are some paid helpers. I'm not interested in that route. I want people from our lives who are from the narrative of our life story to learn that there's a problem here, to become involved out of personal interest. I said that already. And her response to this, because this shows you how attentive Barbara is. Remember, the worst thing in the world is a female who's not attentive. It's a violation of her fundamental, what's supposed to be her proper yin programming. It's the most disgusting thing of all. That's the biggest betrayal of all. Her response is, yeah, well, I could find a cleaning company who could do really good cleaning. Fail. This is like the biggest fail you could possibly see. So when I post about this, how this is the biggest fail, when she then watches it to see how it's the biggest fail, the fact that I've described it this way through comprehensive analysis, where the conclusion naturally and very reasonably is that it is her failure, this is the thing that should have an effect upon her mind. Her witnessing this, back to her, she has shown these things. Oh, fuck, I do feel sorry and bad for how much I failed. I see now how I did it wrong. So she comes back again and she doesn't admit how she did it wrong. That's unacceptable. So I'm extremely tired of this. So by this point, she's really shown that she's just absolutely broken. It's like a broken automaton. It's not even a correctly running one. Just like my uncle said several years ago, ona jest potora, running on rails. Because she doesn't, same thing again. 7 years ago, he didn't make it up. He observed her, then came to me, and he's like, hey, I got to talk to you about your mom. I was like, what? Why is she like potora? And immediately when he said that, I never talked to him before about it. When he said it, I was like, funny. I never even spoke with anyone about this, but you're completely seeing the same thing I've been seeing for a while now too. Uncle Chris, you're absolutely right, I said. And I was like, good, his vision works well. Why? Because he's a man. Tired of this. She adds here, would you like to get these services done? When? Obviously, you see that I don't want services. Continue. You mentioned it in your email, so that's what I could order. My friend once asked me, check what people understood from you afterwards, so you could see how far off the mark they are. She was right. Because Barbara here says that I mentioned it in my email, so that's what she could order as paid for. Guys, did I mention that in my email here? Oh, no, I didn't. So you see how I wrote exactly what I did. So Barbara, number one, go and review this email again very closely and see what you understand from it. Does your brain work? We'll find out. Witness already reviewed it, I hope, for sure, I bet. And then ask yourselves, did I mention that I want these paid services? She says as a fact, yes, I did. So as accurately as she understands what I wrote in the previous email is exactly how accurately she understands anything and everything else in this whole situation and in fucking life. Get it now? She keeps showing you how defective her mind is at interpreting anything. That's it. It's a shame. Disgusting. She's brainless. We're done here. My email response to her, just drafted up and I'm about to send it. I'll just read it here. But Mom, I start to say to her here, a fuller response to what you just wrote there, that we just analyzed, will be prepared on YouTube. I don't want to discuss anything else about this here, except that furthermore that the answer is no. I obviously said that I don't want to have any paid impersonal services. Literally every piece of your email, for some reason though, is opposite of what I said or what the situation is, or opposite of what the situation naturally calls for. Again, you keep making big mistakes and even continued offenses everywhere. Witnesses tracking this, please take very good notes all along. Pause all the time. Every bit of instance I say anything that's like clicks like, yes, that's a point. Pause, extract the point, encapsulate it, isolate it. It's a point on the itemized list. You have it to refer to when you're constructing, when you're talking to her, and you got a checklist in front of you and all the things you want to cover in conversation with her. And then speaking live is the best because you get to secure her understanding because you're in a live dialogue with her that's running live. Really, that's by far the best way. Continuing, I wrote to her, I said, again, you keep making big mistakes and even continued offenses everywhere. Check the forthcoming videos to understand why. I'm tired of this. Furthermore, I'll be doing those cleaning things myself here, cleaning on my own and getting other people's help on my own, that should say. I reached out to you to assess what your true capacity is to give the kind of help that's actually asked for, which we recall. I said I want to check in with you to see what community do we really have. This is my way of basically testing and evaluating the mother to see if she is capable of producing anything to show, what do you mean, John? We have built a nice life together. Haven't I included you in the community? Haven't I helped to form a life? Look at all the people that are still in our community. Look, we'll turn to them. People care about us personally. We caught her. Because if she responds in the way that she has, let me go get someone to pay. There's some paid strangers to come and do things. All right, that's all I needed to know. That's her admission tacitly that, yeah, she's tacitly implying that she absolutely cannot object or counter or disagree with what I said. So therefore, she's guilty. So I continue to write here. I reached out to assess what your true capacity is to help in such a way, and as it goes on to state here, your response confirms for me that it is true that you are in fact guilty of having failed to secure or build any type of natural personalized community or secure any access to such things as dignify the human being and the man. Get it? Continuing, then in that case, you really are essentially useless to me. And let me edit that a little bit. You really are essentially useless to me in the kinds of supportive ways that actually matter to not just a man, okay, to a human being. You offered self-involved help from you to me there in that email of yours. And you offered it once again. However, once again, I told you that doing such a thing as that, even trying to offer something like that, outside the bounds of what I said is acceptable, would constitute an offense. But she didn't care. She wrote it again, as we see. I go on to say, big penalty. These people naturally keep inviting the punishment that comes from them. From us, the victimized, / from God. Comes through us unto them. It's that simple. There you go. That's a big truth. I go on to say, I'm done discussing this matter. Finally, your biggest concern now is you have to redirect her like a lost horse, a lost cow, a lost sheep. You have to steer them where to go, where to look. She's trying to do it to me, but it's wrong. No, but she needs it done unto her. So we have to be her head steerer. Like the rider of the horse steers the horse's neck. We have to steer her. So now, your biggest concern is now to merely sufficiently properly address any and all remaining issues from that previous email or thread that has remained unresponded to by you, which we featured and showed and displayed in this video a little earlier. That's right. Wake up. Continuing. If you don't respond to that email again within another few days, because it's already been a few days and she didn't respond, she does it again. If she doesn't address and fulfill properly upon the Anthony issue, which involves handling that Anthony issue and also involves watching the issue, the video from there that addresses that and explains it better to my mom what she should do and why. She's always confused about the important things. She's confused, but about the stupid things, she's certain. That's how backwards it all is. It's crazy. Well, I explained. If you don't do all that, well then, this Such a failure by you will constitute a further and serious moral default by you. That's it. End of my sentence. The implications of that should be terrifying to her. But if they aren't because she's broken, not my concern. But I get to escape the hell that is my mom. Bye bye.